Greetings to all of you to the Global Ecumenical Theological Institute of the World Council of Churches, or the youth gathered there in Alexandria in Egypt. To all those are connected with you, the patriarchs, the bishops, the clergy, religious, everyone. What I prepared now has to be changed a little bit, because finally we wake up this morning with the wonderful news that the first step, but anyway important step, has been reached between Hamas and the government of the State of Israel, and this is something very positive. Brings a new attitude, new atmosphere in all the churches, in all the religious communities, Christian, Jews and Muslims. New breath that we needed. I know that I have to talk about theology, but theology should be also incarnated in the reality we are living in. And today, the situation remains very problematic, very difficult, especially in Gaza. Above all in Gaza, but also West Bank and other parts of our diocese of the Holy Land. But we need to rejoice for this step that will bring comfort and consolation to many families, both Israeli and Palestinians. I rejoice with our Christian community in Gaza, what remain of them, about 500 people. I rejoice for all the inhabitants of Gaza, because finally they can have a break in these tormented and turned 2 years of horrible life. I rejoice also for the family of the hostages, that finally they can see their dear ones going back. As I said, it's a first step. There will be many obstacles, there will be a lot of difficulties. The hatred is not disappeared. But it is a first step. We have to start somewhat. There is nothing is perfect, but we have to start to turn the page and to start something new. So we are very happy about this. I spoke with our community there in Gaza. They are very happy. I see how just some words and some different news can, even if the situation remains problematic, can bring anyway a new atmosphere, a new contest, new hopes to the people. And this is something very significant. In these 2 years, everyone is talking about 7th October and the Gaza war, rightly so. But what happened, what is going on in Gaza now, but in Holy Land, didn't start on 7th October. First of all, from the political point of view, the conflict started 8 years ago. And this, of course, 7th October marked a new beginning, a new phase in this war, but so the readings of the events also are very different and so on. But what I want to say, leave politics aside, that we are now seeing the result of years of language of hatred, teaching of contempt, that create a culture, mentality of exclusion, not inclusion. Here in Holy Land, Israeli and Palestinians, we Romanian, they are not going to disappear. You have the fanatic ones who want to send all Palestinians away. We have also some radical Palestinians who want to send all the Jews away out of hatred for all what they lived. But this is not going to happen. This is not also the future of this land. They will remain here. But this teaching of contempt creates this situation of hatred and exclusion one to another. In the book of Isaiah 47, the prophet Isaiah is talking against Babylon, this case. And what he's accusing, go and read it, what he's accusing to Babylon said, me and no one else. And this accusation towards Babylon is very actual even today. What we are saying now, me and no one else. This, the hatred, because of the suffering also, but not only, the suffering everyone lived is creating a kind of refusal of the other. And this is not our future. And this is not the Christian teaching. We are not there. We shouldn't be there. The other aspect is the use of words. There are words can build reality, words can destroy reality. With our words, we express our word, what we have in our heart. So our word should express, according to our faith, express our believing in God. And if we believe in God, we believe also in human beings. So we cannot exclude the other. We cannot use words that create barriers. So this is what we are living and experiencing in this moment, in this period. One word I have to say about the role of the religious leaders. This work showed and proved something very important, that the multilateral and political institutions are very weak, were unable, after all, to address properly the dramatic situation we are living in, we are still living in. Now it seems it took 2 years to arrive to an agreement that could have been signed long time ago. But we cannot blame only the political leaders. Especially here in the Middle East, you cannot separate that much political context and the religious one. I didn't hear in these 2 years many religious leaders to raise their voice against what is going on, what happened 7 October and what happened is still happening in Gaza. Almost nothing. The religious institutions were silent or totally in line with what the respective political authorities wanted them to say. And this is also one aspect of the crisis we are living in. Where is the prophetic role of the religious leaders? Where is the prophetic voice of the spiritual leaders? We can have here and there, I cannot generalize religious who spoke properly, but there are very few, and not representing the main religious leaders who have impact, who have their own communities, respective communities. This is, generally speaking, among Jews, among Muslims, even the Christian churches, a lot of differences are among the Christian churches between evangelicals and others, and other churches, and so on. And all this should also made aware of a crisis we have, where the prophetic role of faith is not visible in institutions. We can see this on the territory, the local religious leaders helping, supporting, living with their own people. I'm thinking our Christian community in Gaza, but also for many others, not just Christians, remain there, supporting them, loving them, and doing all what is possible to bring comfort and consolation. But at the institution level was quite different. So we are being created at the image of God. And our role is to keep looking and loving the image of God. This is what we are, and we, with sin in the Garden of Heaven, we destroyed this image, or we wounded this image. But Jesus Christ brought back this image in all of us, restored the image of God in all of us. So, and we need to look and to preserve and to custody and to keep this image of God in ourselves, first of all, and in the other. And the best way, the only way to preserve the image of God in ourselves is to preserve the image of God in the other. What we do to the other, we do to ourselves, and vice versa. This is what we are called to do. We have not to be naive. The road is still very long in order to arrive to different and serene situation of life here in Holy Land. But we Christians have important mission now. Here in Holy Land, in Jerusalem, but all over the world. We are coming, if I understand, from different parts of the world. When we go back, we have to be aware of this, especially since we are involved in theological dialogue. We left the religious narrative to the extremists, to the radicals, both right and left, Islamic and Jewish, and also in some Christian environments, of course, especially evangelicals, but not only. We need now, and we are experiencing here a very strong difficulty. We are assisting a very radical, very clear, very lucid, very honest in a way, very consistent interpretation of Scripture according to the radical ones. Very clear. The settlers say very clearly, is written the book of Joshua, is written the book of Deuteronomy, that God gave this land to us, so we have to take it. Very lucid, very clear, very honest, very candid. And of course, it's not that simple. But we need to argue with this in a very solid, very clear, but very rooted way, rooted on the Scripture, saying that your interpretation is wrong. You have to say why in a very solid way. And this is what we need to do, to be able to not to limit ourselves just to the beautiful but too generic now statement of dialogue, reconciliation, forgiveness. They are very important words, but we need to root these words in the Scripture in a very solid and very consistent way, in order not to leave the narrative to the radical ones. And this is something that I see very, very urgent nowadays, especially here in Holy Land. There are many other things and this is the challenge we have in the coming years. The other aspect I want to say, many of you will be involved in the interreligious, interfaith dialogue. First of all, interfaith dialogue supposes that there is faith, purified faith, authentic, genuine faith, which is not always that granted. But what I keep saying, that in the interreligious dialogue cannot now avoid cannot not to mention, not to take in consideration what happened here on 7 October 23, what happened after 7 October 23 in Gaza, West Bank also, but especially in Gaza. These are elements that created a deep wound in our relations. Deep suffering, authentic, genuine suffering, that we cannot avoid, not to talk about. Maybe we are not ready yet, but we cannot go back to the interreligious, interfaith dialogue as nothing happened. We cannot avoid this. But we have to find a way that is not just a denunciation. Especially we believers, as those who deal with theology, to take into consideration the power of evil in the life of the world that is present. Read the book of Revelation. The dragon is the power of evil, very powerful, and so on. So the power of evil, the impact of evil on the life of the world, of the communities, but not to remain there. We have to also to find ways to overcome, to go, not to forget, but how to look beyond from this. This suffering shouldn't become a protest to close ourselves, but based on this suffering, we have to propose, especially as Christians, ways to look beyond this in order to that our relations could become more authentic, more genuine. Till now, maybe inter-religious dialogue was a dialogue of elites. Now should become a dialogue of communities, not only elites, of the experts of dialogue. We never mention what is difficult among us, and we have difficulties. But the purpose is not just to raise difficulties in order to show the differences among us, but how to learn how to be able to love each other despite our differences. That will remain. So the interreligious dialogue should become something that will deal not only with the desire, but only with the reality. And our reality now has been a very painful one. But once again, we don't want just to mention these, to remain there, to denounce, to accuse. This is not according to the Christian faith, but in order to learn from this lesson what not to do in the future, and also how to build our relations in a more genuine way, authentic way, honest way. And the other aspect, to look for the image of God in the other, is important, especially in this period of war. When there is a war, and when this tragedy, crimes committed, where people, especially children, but not only, have been killed this way, unacceptable, unjustifiable, and morally ununderstandable. So it is very important in this very complicated situation to look for those who are preserving the image of God in the other. I mean, there are a lot of people, Jews, Christians, Muslims, believers, non-believers, who despite everything, sometimes at the cost of their life, are working in order to do something good for the other. That despite everything are ready to pay a price in our life in order to keep the relations with the other open, and also to help and support in the humanitarian, in the teaching, in the hospitals, but also in desire of the relation with the other. Here everything now is talking about division, me and no one else. those who are looking for the one else, looking for him and for her, those who are preserving the image of God, because we are created. All those who want to keep the relations open to the other are keeping also the relation with God open and visible and concrete and tangible. All this violence, all this structure of violence that we are living in will fail. And when all this structure will collapse, it's a question of time, we will need all these people, those who are really preserving the image of God in themselves and the others, in order to rebuild. And we Christians, we churches, we need to be among those who want to rebuild. And you can rebuild if, especially in this period of war, we preserve the desire of good for all. We should avoid to be pulled within the easy game of confrontation, one against another, to denounce, to accuse, and so on. We cannot not to denounce. We cannot not to say the truth, but without shaming, without refusing to deal with the other, which is not always simple and granted. So I want to conclude what I had to say is something totally new. This morning I have to reconsider everything, because I felt that I cannot just remain talk about what is going on in Gaza, that everyone knows anyway, while the situation is changing dramatically. Thanks God. Today, the Church of Jerusalem celebrating Saint Abraham. We, the Church of Jerusalem, is celebrating also the saints of the Old Testament. And today, for us, is Saint Abraham, the father of all believers. I think it's a sign of providence. We have to look at him, our common father, and from him to learn and to accept again in our real life that we belong to one another, because we have the same Father. And as Jesus asked and say to us, we should learn to become neighbor one to another, close one to another. This is what we have been asked to do. So I hope that you in Alexandria now, especially in this new atmosphere that is coming out, you can learn not just to denounce, to accuse, to blame. We have to do when it's necessary, but also what is we mostly need now, how to rebuild. The devastation of the territory is very evident. Human devastation also very evident, but we need to rebuild. And we have to start from our faith and to bring the image of God in our relations, and the image of God for us Christians is Jesus Christ.